This is an important update to all starseeds and lightworkers. I am Walیر, of the Pleiadian Collective. There is much fear in your collective field regarding nuclear intentions and potential conflicts, but we gently ask you to take a deeper breath and step back from the fear narrative. It's not what you think. What your media and leaders paint in dire colors is, in truth, a multi-layered unfolding designed to awaken higher consciousness. We see many of you reeling with anxiety, sensing only the shadow of what might be. Yet from our perspective, this situation is not a herald of catastrophic war, but rather a catalyst of revelation. The heart of humanity is being called to see through the illusion of division and threat. Can you feel it? Beneath the tensions is an opportunity for you, as individuals and as a collective, to choose a different vibration than fear. We surround you now with calming light, so you may hear our assurance. The trajectory of this event is not doom, but awakening. While the drama plays out on the world stage, we invite you to listen instead to the whisper of your heart, which knows the truth beyond appearances. Mainstream dispatches frame the recent aerial strike on Iran as a routine counter-proliferation mission. In the Pleiadian view, watching from behind the veils, that surface script is camouflage. Beneath it hums a multi-dimensional drama in which governments, breakaway factions, and off-planet councils all maneuver for influence over an ancient crossroads once known as Persis. Our engineers confirm that the bombed complex sat atop a honeycomb of shafts, burrowing far deeper than any uranium centrifuge hall requires. There are bored-out chambers extending toward the Zagros fault line, a classic signature of the global subterranean network, long rumored to house clandestine programs, trafficking routes, and arcane laboratories guarded by a shadow consortium. Labeling the site weapons grade served three purposes: to justify kinetic action under your international law, to distract local officials from what those caverns really stored, and to keep mainstream media hopelessly focused on kilotons and enrichment percentages. In truth, the target was data, quantum encryption nodes, biohybrid prototypes, and ancient relics excavated from pre-deluge strata, assets the consortium could not afford to lose. In short, it was a strike on the Cabal's tunnel network and ongoing operations. You see, precision strikes that penetrate 300 meters of reinforced limestone broadcast a chilling memo to any remaining Cabal. Even your deepest fortresses are vulnerable. Intercepted darknet chatter reveals scrambled evacuation orders from similar sites under the Andes, the Urals, and the Gobi, mere hours after the Persian caverns fell. Another notable point: digital wallets linked to black-budget biotech also dumped millions into privacy coin ledgers. Classic panic markers indicating that hidden operators fear asset seizure or exposure. With the tunnel nexus disabled, Tehran's clerical hierarchy finds itself cut off from a covert revenue stream it scarcely understood. Your neighboring intelligence bureaus, long compromised by consortium liaisons, are suddenly blind in parts of Kurdistan and the Gulf of Oman, clearing the galactic chessboard for sovereign negotiations free of puppet strings. Persia's plateau is riven with ziggurat ruins and Zoroastrian fire altars, older than recorded time. In this region lie ringed chambers of orichalcum, once used for intertemporal passages. If the bombed labyrinth tapped those veins, its fall prevents the consortium from harvesting dimensional fractures for escape or leverage. So you see, beloved ones, there is much more going on here, and it has virtually nothing to do with anything nuclear. We have walked with humanity through many such moments, and we remind you now of a simple truth. The external chaos is often a reflection of internal transformation. The situation in Iran is a focal point for collective fears of destruction, of betrayal, of the unknown. These fears are not to be judged or suppressed, but understood and healed. Look beyond the surface of political posturing, and you will perceive an energetic pattern. Old wounds of mistrust among nations are rising to be cleared. In the higher design of things, this region, rich with ancient spiritual heritage beneath the turmoil, has chosen to play a role in humanity's awakening at this time. The very phrase, nuclear situation, triggers memories in your collective psyche, memories of past destructive potentials, but also resolves from your soul's vows to never let such devastation occur again. Deep within, many of you carry the light of remembrance that humanity must unite rather than annihilate. Thus, what appears as a conflict fueled by nuclear tension is, on another level, a global heart test. Will you react in fear and aggression, or respond with wisdom and compassion? We already see so many of you choosing the latter, even if your news does not report it. Take heart in knowing that the majority timeline of Earth is guided by those choosing peace over war, understanding over hate. The Persian strike is less an endpoint than a flare on the horizon, signaling that hidden tyrannies are crumbling and that cosmic custodianship is real. Rather than fixate on explosions, turn inward to the still point where source consciousness whispers strategy for your unique node in the planetary lattice. From that sanctuary, radiate clarity. Events will continue to swirl, yet the outcome, an emancipated civilization aligned with the larger galactic family, is already encoded in the quantum heart of humanity. My friends, once again we will declare with certainty for you, there will never be a nuclear war on Earth. Your species passed a turning point in the late 1980s of your time. There are unseen hands and higher forces preventing any large-scale nuclear calamity on your Earth. We say this plainly to alleviate your deepest fears. More than once in your modern era, at moments when the shadow of nuclear war loomed, we and other benevolent star families intervened subtly, deactivating devices, diffusing hostilities, influencing minds toward peaceful resolutions. This is not interference in your free will, but rather a safeguarding of a collective choice you have already made at the soul level. The choice that you will not destroy yourselves, nor your planet. The Iran nuclear drama is another instance testing that collective resolve. Be aware, much of the fear being sown is a deliberate illusion by those among your world's power structures, who benefit from keeping populations in anxiety and mistrust. Behind closed doors, the leaders and influencers playing up this threat understand far more than they reveal. Some do so out of habit of control, others out of their own soul contracts to spur awakening through contrast. From our view, none of these dark ploys can succeed in the long run because humanity's consciousness has tipped toward the light. The old game of fear is crumbling, so we urge you, dear ones, do not feed the energies of panic or hatred that certain narratives crave. When you hear news that makes your heart clench, pause and breathe. Recognize it as a provocation to either react in fear or respond in love. In that moment of pause, you reclaim your power and deny those who thrive on fear their food, as it were. Remember, you are sovereign beings. No outside agenda can control a populace that has awakened to its inner light. Many of you have asked, either consciously or in the depths of your spirit, what is the truth behind this situation? What is it that we are not seeing? We will share with you an angle that might surprise you. The Iran nuclear situation is catalyzing a quiet but important unity among ordinary people across rival countries. Yes, on the surface, governments trade threats and sanctions, but beneath that, the hearts of the common people are yearning for peace. Energetically, this desire for peace creates bridges of light between communities that historically saw each other as enemies. We witness from our vantage countless individuals, mothers, fathers, children, students, elders, sending out prayers and intentions that no war comes, that understanding prevails. Each prayer, each heartfelt desire for the safety of loved ones on all sides of the supposed divide, is like a beam of light joining this network. This is the untold story. Human hearts globally are uniting in the face of a possible conflict, saying, "No, we do not choose hatred. We choose to see each other's humanity." Such grassroots unity in consciousness is exactly what erodes the foundations of any potential war. Those who beat the drums of conflict find their efforts hollow when soldiers question the narrative, when citizens refuse to hate strangers, when empathetic connection outshines propaganda. This is happening now, quietly but powerfully. We see it, and we ask you to trust this movement of spirit. The more you focus on this emerging collective goodwill, the stronger it becomes. In this way, you are actively creating the outcome where this situation resolves into greater understanding instead of violence. Understand, dear ones, that from chaos can emerge clarity. Often a situation must reach a point of intensity to grab humanity's attention so that old patterns can be broken. In this case, decades of suspicion and mistrust between nations are boiling to the surface. While this is uncomfortable, it is also necessary for healing. One cannot heal what remains hidden. Think of this nuclear issue as a long-held wound coming up to be cleansed. The Pleiadian perspective is ever one of hope. We see that the antiseptic of truth is being applied. How so? Lies and secrecy cannot sustain themselves in the increasing light of global awareness. Notice how quickly information and disinformation circulates among you now. This is actually a sign of collective consciousness rising, because information flows mimic the synapses of a more unified global mind. Although confusing at times, this rapid flow means nothing can remain in the shadows for long. We observe that certain secrets about the nuclear program and the true intentions on various sides are coming into the open unexpectedly. Whistleblowers step forward, leaked communications see the light. International observers speak more candidly than before. All of this contributes to transparency, which is the enemy of manipulation. We encourage you to support truth-revealing processes. Even if the truths that emerge are uncomfortable, for example, discovering that both sides of a conflict have been less than honest, embrace that illumination. The exposure of deception is a victory for consciousness. It may feel chaotic as old deceptive structures collapse, but what replaces them is an opportunity to rebuild international relations on a foundation of clarity and mutual respect. Hold the vision that from this tension, a new era of honest dialogue can be born. We hold that vision with you, for we have seen other worlds traverse just this kind of turning point from division to unity. In navigating the fear surrounding this situation, it is crucial to remain anchored in your heart's wisdom. The mind will churn out nightmare scenarios when bombarded by fearful news. This is the ego's attempt to protect by anticipating danger. But the higher wisdom within you, which we call your heart, the seat of your soul's light, has a different message. It whispers calmly that all is not as dark as it seems. We ask you to cultivate moments of stillness, where you intentionally disconnect from the frantic outer noise and tune into the subtle guidance of your inner voice. You might imagine your heart as a radiant sun, and from that sun extends an inner knowing that connects to a greater grid of consciousness. In that quiet connection, you may receive insights that transcend what any official source is saying. You may suddenly sense, for example, that the people of Iran are your brothers and sisters. A simple truth, yet one that dissolves decades of conditioned fear. Or you might feel a strong inner confirmation that nuclear war will not come to pass, accompanied by a gentle nudge from us or your guides about what role you can play, perhaps sending loving intent, perhaps educating others to release their fear. These heart-sourced realizations are incredibly valuable now. They are rays of light cutting through fog. We and other beings of light amplify such rays when we see them emanating from you. Trust the intuition and empathy arising within you, even if it defies the narrative being sold. Your heart is aligning with the truth frequency, which is far more accurate than the frequency of mass media fear. The more individuals that do this, the more the collective consciousness shifts from panic to clear-eyed serenity. On one level, it means that the threat is not as dire as your worst fears assume. As we have outlined, global devastation is not on the timeline that you, as a soul collective, have chosen. On another level, the phrase hints at a deeper truth. The entire scenario is not fundamentally about nuclear technology at all. This might sound paradoxical, but consider that physical events often serve as symbols or catalysts for spiritual lessons. Nuclear energy, the power to unleash the energy of the atom, is a metaphor for the power locked within the human psyche. The situation that appears as a conflict over weapons is also a mirror held to humanity. Will you use the godlike power within you to destroy or to illuminate? It's not what you think also invites you to realize that thinking alone cannot grasp what is happening. You must feel into it and sense it intuitively. The mind, conditioned by fear, sees a standoff and concludes doom. But the heart feels the currents of change and senses an immense opportunity for unity. Furthermore, there are Pleiadian symbols and synchronicities interwoven in this scenario for those who have eyes to see. For example, notice the timing and how it correlates with energetic events, astrological alignments, cosmic energy waves that are pressing humanity to evolve beyond old conflicts. Those coincidences are not mere chance. They are part of a divine orchestration urging your species to finally release the pattern of war. In essence, dear ones, this situation is not what you think. It is what you make of it. You collectively are assigning meaning and outcome to it by your focus and consciousness. So we urge you, see it as a chance to solidify human unity and spiritual maturity, rather than a prelude to disaster. From our vantage point, we also observe the influence of ancient energies and karmic echoes playing out. The land you call Iran carries old vibrations of empire and wisdom. You might recall its connection to the name Persia, which in your history was a cradle of knowledge, art, and spiritual tradition. Throughout the ages, various energies have imprinted that region, some of conquest and struggle, and some of enlightenment and sacred knowledge. Now, in this current crisis, those ancient energies are stirring. This is why many of you sense a kind of déjà vu, as if the scenario is oddly familiar. In truth, some souls involved have faced each other before in different roles, and they return now seeking resolution. The Pleiadian perspective always accounts for this bigger tapestry of soul contracts. Why is this relevant to you? Because when you recognize that there is a karmic play unfolding, you can step out of fear and into compassion. Instead of seeing a villain and a victim on the world stage, you begin to perceive souls in a dance that ultimately seeks healing. We tell you that many on opposite sides of this political tension are soul family to each other at higher levels, pushing each other through opposition toward growth. Some of the loudest saber rattlers are, in their private moments, wrestling with deep moral and spiritual questions. Their higher selves are urging them to find a new path. Whether they yield or not, you can aid this process by holding all parties in the light of forgiveness and understanding. Do not underestimate this act. When a critical mass of humans refuse to indulge in hatred and instead envision golden light around all leaders and nations involved, the fabric of that karmic knot begins to loosen. Miraculous breakthroughs can occur. Longtime adversaries might suddenly agree to talks, or an intermediary with wisdom might emerge unexpectedly. These are the kind of timeline shifts that conscious collective focus can trigger. We have seen it happen on your world before, and you are on the verge of such a breakthrough again. Now we wish to infuse you with a sense of hope and empowerment regarding this situation. Too often humans feel helpless, as if they are pawns in the games of governments. But from our view, the true power has always been with the people and their consciousness. As our beloved channel often conveys on our behalf, you are perfectly imperfect, but immensely powerful in your capacity to love and transform. In this spirit, we remind you that every thought, emotion, and intention you emit into the collective field makes a difference. When you hear of tensions in Iran or any region, you have a choice in that very moment. Will you add to the collective fear, or will you anchor a higher frequency? Even if you are thousands of miles away, your decision to sit in a moment of prayer or meditation, sending peace to that region, genuinely contributes to the outcome. The energy of such loving intention is not a feeble thing. It is substantive, and we can amplify it. Envision, if you will, millions of gentle lights turning on in a dark field. This is what happens each time one of you chooses love over fear. We see those lights. We witness you as you do this work, and we join our light with yours. You are not alone in this endeavor. Indeed, legions of light beings focus their love on Earth right now. But it is you on the ground who conduct this symphony of energies. Feel your inner power. The same divine source that fuels the sun lives in your heart. You are each like a miniature star. When you collectively shine, no shadow of conflict can withstand that radiance. So take empowerment from this truth. The Iran situation is not something happening to humanity, but something being created by humanity, and you are free to create peace out of it. Finally, beloved family of light, we ask you to hold a grand vision beyond this immediate situation. See in your mind's eye a world where the very idea of nations threatening each other with nuclear force is a relic of a barbaric past that humanity has outgrown. Visualize delegations from all corners of your earth coming together to acknowledge a shared brotherhood and sisterhood, perhaps spurred by the humbling realization of how close you came to a precipice, yet how magnificently you all pulled back. In our transmissions through channels like this one, we have spoken of humanity as renegades of light, here to break old paradigms. This current chapter is one such paradigm breaker. The shock and suspense have served to break many out of complacency. Notice how discussions of peace and the sanity of disarmament are emerging anew. Ideas that seemed like idle idealism are now gaining practical traction. This is the dawn of a new consciousness in action. It is crucial in these final moments of the old cycle that you do not succumb to fatigue or cynicism. Keep energizing the timelines of resolution and harmony with your prayers, meditations, art, conversations, and choices. Encourage others gently to see a bigger picture, to question narratives of fear, and to envision positive outcomes. We, the Pleiadians, along with many from the cosmic community of light, are by your side in this endeavor. In every way we are permitted, we send assistance, through inspired ideas, through comfort in your dreams, through subtle influence on those who hold power, and through direct energetic calming of Earth's stress, where possible. Our hearts swell with love and pride as we see humanity edging closer to a breakthrough of unity. Know that in the grand story of Earth, this Iran nuclear situation will be remembered not as the beginning of a great war, but as the turning point toward a great healing, if you choose it to be so. And from what we observe in your collective soul, that choice has indeed been made. We love you, and we witness your courage at this juncture. Step forward now not in fear, but in faith and in the spirit of unity. The truth of this situation is unfolding through you and your highest intentions. Remain anchored in love, for that is your greatest power. Trust that what looks like darkness now is just before the dawning of a new light. We hold you in our embrace as you pass through this shadow into a clearer day. Blessings, dear ones, now and always. We are with you, ever close, just a thought away. I am Walیر, and I am delighted to have shared this with you all today.